Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is the founder and managing partner at Lobster Capital, no other than Mr. Gabriel Jarrosson.
Hello.
Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Gabriel, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I'm the managing partner of Lobster Capital, which is a VC fund in the US, investing in the top 2% of YC startups, as we can see on the screen. I don't know if the screen shows here, but yeah, we specialize in YC startups on the top 2%. I'm the creator and founder and managing partner of that fund since 2023, and a very avid reader. I read 30 to 50 nonfiction books per year. So very excited to be talking about books today.
Non-fiction indeed. So, Mr. Gabriel, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to the world as well as your business to empower people all over the world. So let's talk about your book that you want to recommend and what is it?
Yes. So I wanted to talk about The Gap and the Gain. That's a book from Dan Sullivan, published in 2020. And it actually a very recent read for myself. It was recommended to me probably only 2-3 months ago. And I read it honestly not expecting much, but I thought it was absolutely amazing, absolutely transformative, especially for entrepreneurs such as myself and many others, because the book talks about the idea that a very simple idea that there's basically two ways to be looking at the world. It's like you can look at the glass half full or the glass half empty. And the book gives you a lot of ways that everything that's supposedly negative in your life could actually be considered as a gain. You gained experience, you gained knowledge, and you're just one step further. Or you can, yeah, that's the one. Or you can see everything as the gap. Oh, I'm missing something. I didn't achieve everything. I only achieved half of what I wanted, etc., etc. And so the difference between the two makes the difference in your daily life, in your attitude. And something that I've really, really loved about the book as well, that I've started implementing right away, is they advise you to have a gain daily journal. It is probably similar to journaling every day at the end of each day, but I've known about journaling forever and I've never actually done it. But they said every evening, take a little journal and just write 3 wins for the day, 3 gains that you had for that day, things that went well that you're happy with. And you can also write 3 wins that you're hoping for the next day. And what was really amazing for me, that they say you do this every day, and after 6 months, 1 year, whenever you feel like, oh, you're failing, or it's not moving as fast as you think, or anyway, your energy is not as good, you go into this book and you see all of those wins, all of those gains that you had along the way. And you can't feel but to say, I'm winning. Look, every day I have more wins. So I thought this was extremely valuable for, again, entrepreneurs. I, as a managing partner of a fund, every day you have rejection. You're trying to get new investors in your fund and they say no. Sometimes you try to get an investment and the company doesn't want you. And so it's important, I think, to keep a big bird's eye view perspective on everything going on. So this for me was extremely valuable. I was very, and still am, very excited about this book. And I hope someone listening to us right now will read it and have the same experience.
Mr. Gabriel, the gap and the gain principles, if you could compare to Lobster Capital, where they are aligned.
I think you have to persevere. My first fund was raised in 23 and 24 and was oversubscribed, but it was a very difficult time in 23, 24. And many times I thought I would not make it. And so it was the same thing. I was looking at the gap instead of looking at the actual gain that, every month my fund is getting a little bit higher. And on the other side of it, at the end of the fundraising, people were almost impressed. Oh, you made it, bravo, it's impressive. And it was very disconnected from what I felt along the way. So that's why I think it resonated with me so much. And that's my journey as an entrepreneur. You build companies and on a daily basis, you think it's failing, but if you look at the big picture. So that's the similarities, and that's why I think it resonated with me so much.
How has the book changed the way you define success or progress in your own life?
I mean, I think success or progress is probably better, is there's always going to be good and bad things in every day, in every project. And the book just shows you to focus on the good. And again, it seems very, basic and simple, but reading the book, it's so well written and explained that it really opened my eyes even more. It's stuff I already know, obviously, but opened my eyes even more. And so I would think it's not about the goal, it's about the actual journey, right? The goal is, by the way, like when you're an entrepreneur or in your life, you can only focus about your input. You can't decide of the results. You can say, hey, I'm gonna, earn that much, or as a person or as a company by this date. You can't control that. You can only control your input. And your input is the amount of work that you do and your mindset. So this has changed a lot. I'm able to control my input and my mindset. And the results will hopefully take care of themselves.
Were you surprised by how often you were living in a gap without realizing it?
I was. I think we all are living in the gap without realizing it. That's the beauty of this book. So many times, it gives an example. You're on vacation and you're stuck in traffic. And instead of focusing on the positive, oh, I'm on vacation, it's amazing, I'm not in a rush, you're mad, oh my God, we're stuck, we're going to be late. And so we all do it, I think, all the time. So this is really the wake up call that I needed to always, always, always try to see the positive of everything and focus on the game.
Indeed, a wake up call. What's one habit you're implemented to stay in the game more consistently?
Try to view things from a different angle, and do this journaling thing again. You hear of journaling for the last 10 years. I'd never done it a single time in my life, and for the last 2 months I have actually been writing in a book like this, not this one but another one, every night by my wins. So I've been implementing this, and it's helping me every day to just look through, reflect, and stay in the game.
What is your understanding of being anti fragile, and how is it different from being resilient?
So Anti-Fragile is obviously a book from Nassim Nicholas Taleb, very famous book. It's the sort of following book after The Black Swan. That was his most famous book. It's not his first, but his most famous book. And anti-fragility is quite similar to resiliency. It is the difference between the big tree that breaks during the storm and the very small, leaf, or the very small tree that bends but then comes back stronger. So anti-fragility is navigating crisis and not dying as a business or as a person, mostly as a business organization, not being in danger from chaos, but actually benefiting from it and thriving through the chaos, the uncertainty, and the unpredictability. Many things happen in the world that we cannot predict. Some good things like the internet that no one knew would change the world so much. Some bad things like 9/11 or the war in Ukraine. But whatever it is, there's some big, big, big shifts and changes happening that we cannot predict. And so you have to make your life and your business anti-fragile so that they thrive in chaos. Easier said than done. There's a lot of things to potentially put in place that allows you to do that. And it is a book that I read, The Gap and the Gain I read 2 months ago, but Anti-Fragile I read probably 10 years ago. But it's something I've kept with me this entire time, thinking, how can I thrive in a very uncertain business? By the way, us humans, all of us, we think things are going to stay the same. We think
Yeah.
the world is not going to change, but the world does change in ways we cannot predict. So that's something I always try to keep in mind. The world is going to change. I can't see or know how before, but I need to be able to survive anyway.
How did the concept of via negativa affect your thinking or habits?
Well, I think it's something pretty similar to Gap and Again. That's why, when you ask me to choose some books, I wanted to you know talk about those ones. Is it's something you keep with yourself, that every new project you're going to start, everything you're going to build, you're going to have to keep in mind those big concepts, because they're going to guide you. And this, whether it's Gap and Gain, anti-fragility via negativa, I'm lucky to be in a position to have a job where it depends a lot on what I'm thinking of the world, how I'm thinking about what's going on, and how I'm thinking about what's going to happen in the future, but also thinking about how I think, like what is my reasoning system and how can I improve my reasoning to make better investments, to make better decisions. And so I think it's the more you read, the more you learn, the more you have concepts, the more you can inform having better decisions on what you're building, on what you're doing. That's why I believe reading is a superpower and extremely interesting. And those are some of the principles that's really stayed with me long term. That's why I wanted to mention and talk about those books.
How might applying the principles of anti-fragility change the way you handle uncertainty or stress?
Yes, I think, people are resisting change. People are panicked when big changes are happening. And people want the world to stay the same. And it is, it is useless to want the world to stay the same. So it has changed me in the acceptance. The world is gonna change a lot, and you cannot do anything about it. So it really is about accepting and adapting. And I was reading another book recently on Stoicism, and Stoicism is also about acceptance of what's changing in the world. Basically, if you have a house and then the house gets taken away from you, you lose it. Maybe it burns. Maybe you get someone to steal it from you. Whatever happens, they say just accept it, because in any case, the universe was going to take your house away from you because you were going to die. You're not going into the next world with your house. The house is part of this world. So, however the universe reclaims this house from you, you have to accept it. And so, accepting that the world changes, accepting that you don't control everything, accepting that whatever you have now is not a given, is not going to stay with you forever, I think is the first step. People try to fight it. There's no point fighting. You just accept and adapt. Of course, you can try to take measures, you can try to adapt, and you can try to take countermeasures to adapt for it. But first of all, you got to accept it, and that's what really changed for me.
Indeed. Mr. Gabriel, if you compare anti-fragile to lobster capital, where they align?
I think they align well, because again, this book has been staying with me for a long time. So, several things. Lobster capital is a capital efficient business. We don't need external investors to fund the business itself. Obviously, it is a VC fund, so we need external investors for the investing the money, but the structure of the company is self-sufficient, and we're not at risk of running out of money. We're not at risk of anything like that. So that's a very anti-fragile way of working, and very few companies are cash flow efficient and don't need any injection of money ever. That's one thing. The other thing is we are investors, but we have a very diversified portfolio, and so we're not concentrated in a sector, for example, where if something were to happen to this sector, then the fund would go down as well. We are focused geographically because we only invest in the US, but I don't think the US has many risks of completely collapsing. There could be downturn or recession, but I don't think the US as a country would cease to exist entirely. And in any case, if that were to happen, we've always told our investors that we can very well invest into the next big thing. If the US disappears suddenly, innovators now are going to London or Dubai or Tokyo, wherever, to start the new startups. We can invest there. So we don't have a lot of concentration. We don't have a lot of risks. And whatever happens in the world, maybe one, two of our portfolio startups might uh, have a problem from that and go under, but the entire portfolio won't, and we're still here and able to survive. So I think we are pretty much anti-fragile.
Very well said, Mr. Gabriel. Beautifully articulated. But let's talk about The One Thing by Gary Keller. What is your one thing right now, and how did the book help you identify it?
Yeah, so the theory of this book, this is also near and dear to my heart, very important to me and very influential, is that many entrepreneurs do a lot of things and they're multitasking, they're inefficient, and they're not doing what really matters. They're just going left to right, answering emails, answering phone calls, and etc. And the idea of the book is find the number one thing that's most important to you and just focus on this, and actually clear your calendar, clear your day, and from morning to evening, really, really focus on that one simple but transformational thing for you. It's also this concept was also, I think, taken by Tim Ferriss, and I think he calls it the big domino. It's the biggest domino that will knock everything else out, and that's what you should focus on. So I was I was doing the wrong thing before reading the book. I was answering my emails and phone calls the entire day and going left and right and being unorganized. So this really changed me and had a big impact. And so what I did was I removed a lot of my distractions. I was sometimes trying to build several things at the same time, whether several companies or within the company, several products. And I decided, okay, what's the most important company? And in that company, what's the most important product? The thing that really I believe into, and that's going to be the most important. So I removed a lot of other things that were less important just to focus on the main one. And then I said to myself, okay, what is the main action that I should undertake to realize that goal? And I, again, stopped everything else that was quite inefficient and focused on this. So I'll give you an example. Fundraising for my first fund, because I'm fundraising now for my second fund, fundraising for my first fund, I did a lot of things and a lot of different things because it was my first time raising a fund. I didn't know what worked, what didn't, what was efficient, what was not. And then after I was done raising the first fund, it was massively oversubscribed. So I was very happy with that. I went back and looked, okay, what in all of my actions over all of this time, what actually brought me the most results? And for my second fund, I'm really focusing on the one thing that did give me the best results for the first fund. And that is, you know, whatever that is, because I don't want to reveal all of my secrets, but that's the thing that really helped bring the most people, was the most efficient, and that's really what I'm doubling, tripling down for this second fund. So that's my one thing right now. And again, I believe in the power of focus and just putting your head down and trying to achieve one big difficult thing. So very transformational for me.
Well, indeed, Mr. Gabriel, bringing the three books together, which of the three books had the biggest immediate impact in your mindset or behavior, and why?
Wow. They all did, but I think it's the last one. So the one thing that we just talked about, because I'm an entrepreneur, I've been for more than 10 years, and every morning I wake up and build my business or my businesses. And so the one thing was the most applicable, the most practical, that I could immediately see why it was absolutely both counterintuitive, but obviously the right thing to do. And I implemented it right away. And yes, it has been an insane change in terms of what I've been able to do and accomplish. So that's for sure the I would have to pick this one.
Mr. Gabriel, as the founder and managing partner of Lobster Capital, what will be your short term and long term goals?
Well, the long-term goal is to create as much value as I can for my investors. I'm lucky to be investing in the best startup incubator in the world, but pick the right investments and help them get where they need to be. The short-term goal is I'm starting now to raise my second fund, like I mentioned after my first one. So that's what I'm focused on. Fundraising this second fund with the best investors possible. That's my one thing right now.
Good luck to your goal,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Gabriel. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast because my podcast, Abstract Essay, is already on the fifth season, people. Abstract Poetry in its second season, Book 101 review for sure in the fifth season, Comedy 101 in second season, and Food 101 in its fifth season as well. Geography 101 and Love Letters in the third season, and my baby podcast, Mental Health 101, and Movie 101 review and Music 101 in its third season. Please do listen wherever
Well,
you listen your podcast. Mr. Gabriel, if you could give one these books to a friend or colleague, which one would you choose and why?
I would choose The Gap and the Gain because it's the shortest and easiest to read. Anti-fragile, most people, it's too big and very difficult. So I would choose The Gap and the Gain because it's the one that people would read and is immediate and applicable to everyone, even if you're not an entrepreneur, on your daily life to just feel better and be happier. So Gap and the Gain, easy gift.
Gap and Again, indeed, highly recommended to everyone. What would be your advice for those people out there want to put up their own business like yours?
Get started and talk to your customers. Make something people want. Go talk to your users and just do the first thing. Many people are entrepreneurs. They have an idea, but they don't know how to get started, or they don't have an idea, but they want to be an entrepreneur. Start talking to people, see what they need, and just actually do something today.
Do something, people. Stop procrastinating, Mr. Gabriel Jarrosson. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to the world as well as your business, Lobster Capital. Can you please invite our listeners to support your business itself?
Sure. If you wanna find me online, I'm easy to find on LinkedIn and X, YouTube as well. So thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed our conversations. And if you do read the book and like it, please let me know.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Gabriel Jarrosson, Jarrosson, because if you support him, more and more and more empowering business to come. So, Mr. Gabriel, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you so much. I had a blast.
More to come, people. See you soon.